Hi, and welcome to Illustration for Storytellers. So, at this point, you should have a couple of things ready for this lesson, and you should have these two prerequisites. You have already chosen your idea for your illustration. Um, so, for example, here I have put that you, let's say, wanted to illustrate a book or make illustrations about bugs, and you should already have your favorite illustrator and your favorite style. So for this style, I've picked for the example, I've picked Eric Carle, the hungry, and that should be the hungry caterpillar, not the ladybug. He's got a grouchy ladybug, which is I think where I got confused. So caterpillar, pillar. Okay. All right. So I always like to talk about Eric Carle because he wrote this book in 1969, and it's an award-winning book. And if you think about the year it was written in, 1969, it was a long time ago. And my son Esteban, who is in preschool, is actually just finished doing a lesson and a ton of artwork and projects and a lot of activities based on this book. So in 2019, it is still being used in preschool. We'll talk about colors and talk about what the caterpillar represents, which is a metamorphosis. You know, you can uh, change into something else. So there's a glimmer of hope that things might be rough right now, but things will change and will get better. So I like his illustrations because they're basic. They have big basic shapes and pretty elementary colors, primary colors. And they have a lot of negative space, which I think makes a nice impact and makes kids react to it positively because they do not have a lot of information being thrown at them. They just have very basic shapes and primary colors that they can that they're very familiar with. So I think this is a good example. And also it's a good example that you do not need to be incredibly talented in academic drawing. All you need to be able to do is paint some paper, cut it up, and paste it together and make it look like a caterpillar. So if that's what you would like to do, then that's what you can do a little more research on it and continue learning on this process. So what I have been doing, and if you should have watched my other video in this lesson plan, the one based on visual learning, and I talk about the inspiration I used to come up with ideas when I cannot have my own ideas for composition and subject matter. I do not have the skill of drawing from imagination, so a lot of times I need a reference to be able to draw from. And if you watch this video, you know that I put a collage together to guide me in the development of the cover. Okay, so now I have these two videos here, which are part of the exposure, which is when students need to experience multimodal ensembles as consumers. So you would like you to watch these two introductory videos. One is just the basic learning skills for drawing on an iPad, which is a new technology I will be using for illustrating. And the one video is on clipping masks. It's how you can apply texture to your drawings. So those are very useful. So now, once you watch those two videos, uh, then you should have enough information between your ideas and your chosen illustrator and style and the skills to make your own instructional video as you make your own projects. So now I would like to show you briefly, after I watched this video here, the masks video,
Recently
which is the
procreate
one with
edited layer
the
masks, so I thought it'd be fun to walk you through how I use them
um,
in my artwork.
I forgot what those are called, but it's the meat-eating
Let's
plants.
start at the very
Okay, so after I watched this video, I attempted to do my own. um, instructional video here. So as I talked in the other video, um, my goal is to be able to draw digitally because I've never done that before, and I struggle a little bit with drawing straight on Illustrator, and so I downloaded Procreate on my very old and cheap iPad that I had, and I already had the pencil, and it has been working okay. So um, I made this drawing, which is a very basic drawing for me. I have a sky, some mountains in the distance, and then I have this little mural and my bee sitting on it. And right now she looks like Humpty Dumpty because she's sitting on a wall, but she's not. She's the bee from the in the Finger Lakes book. Anyway, so now in this video I'd like to show you how I set up my layers. So for every piece of the composition, I have a layer set up. So I have the blue, which is the sky, so it's on its own layer. Then the green of the grass and the mountains, it's on its own layer. The sketch for the bee is on its own layer, which I use that as to reference the colors that I put above it. The wall is on its own layer. And now on the top layers, I'm using the masks, which is the uh, textures I'm adding to it. So let's see. I recorded a screencast from my iPad, but I couldn't add um, sound to it. So now I'm doing it now. So here I'm adding the texture that I would like to go on the sky. And it's just a free stock photo of some clouds. And I'm just stretching it and layering it over um, the sky layer, which I showed you before. And now I am choosing the blending mode, which is how it's going to affect the layer below it. So I'm choosing, let's see which one I end up choosing. I think it's a lighten. Yep, okay. So I did a hard light. Okay, so it looks like a soft light. No, no, I ended up going with the high light. So that's just gonna make it really contrast, and it's gonna bring up all the highlights. And now I have already set up the masking layer on it. So now I'm just erasing using the techniques that we watched in that video that I put there for you, to use the black painting tool or the black pencil and just painting over the sections you don't want to be uh, used in that layer. So you don't want the mountains to be affected by the clouds. You don't want the wall to be affected by the clouds, so you want to get rid of all that. So now I'm gonna add a texture onto the grass in the mountains, and I wanted these leaves, um, pattern of leaves. So first we lay it down on top of the layer we would like to affect. Then we choose a blending mode. I think I went back to the dark. Yep, okay, I think I did that. Linear burn. Okay, so I chose the linear burn, and now I add a mask layer, and I do the same technique again, so on and so forth, and then I do it again for the wall. I choose my texture, which is like a stucco texture, and I lay it, and okay, the nice thing is that you can see, as you change the blending modes, you see how it affects your composition. So its live changes, so you can see right away what it's going to look like. So you can choose from the different blending modes. And there I add the mask layer, and I erase everything that I don't want the um, the stock photo to add its texture on. So it's a really nice and easy way to create texture, and it doesn't really look like a stock photo once you use the blending modes. It actually looks like part of the composition. So it's a very easy way to add texture. So for someone who is not an academic painter, an academic draftsman, this is an easy way for you uh, to add some texture, and it's pretty quick too. And even if you are an academic painter or very um, talented uh, draftsman, then you can still use this because it's a nice effect and it really looks quite different than anything you could do by hand. So if I were to try to replicate that by hand, it would take me a very long time to get that texture going. So this is uh, one of those technological marvels, I guess. Okay, so I think I have the three textures. I have one more for the bee, so I think I added some kind of wood looking texture on her. Okay. All right, so then to recap, you should have your final and most favorite idea ready, and you should have your favorite illustrator or your style that you like to choose to work on and elaborate. You should watch these two videos and also my two sample videos, and then you can. So that's part of the exposure, and then your exploration is to choose your selected topic that you would like to investigate and elaborate on. And then once you have elaborated and done your illustration, then I would like you to also produce your own video of the process of choosing your idea and producing your drawing or your illustration and something that you learned from the videos. Okay, so thank you. Bye.